You are doing 190 miles an hour down the backstretch at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The checkered flag is 2 laps away. You check your mirror, and there is a car right behind you, close enough to push you to the win. Then, at the last second, he backs off. He goes and pushes someone else instead. You are alone on the biggest stage of the day, and deep down, you already know why. That driver is Carson Hocevar, and what happened to him at the Quaker State 400 was not bad luck. It was a decision made by multiple drivers in a meeting room before the race even started. Denny Hamlin just said the quiet part out loud, and it has nothing to do with horsepower. Before we go further, if you are new here, this channel is NASCAR Racing World, and we are closing in on our first 500 subscribers. If breakdowns like this one are useful to you, subscribing costs nothing and it helps this channel keep making them. Your support genuinely decides whether stories like this one get told in this kind of detail. On July 14, 2026, Denny Hamlin sat down for his Actions Detrimental podcast to talk about the race that had just wrapped up at Echo Park Speedway. Everyone expected a breakdown of tire strategy, fuel windows, and late race cautions. Instead, Hamlin said something that cannot be measured by lap times. It was not about Hocevar's car. It was about Hocevar himself. Carson Hocevar had climbed through the field at Atlanta to finish third, one of the best runs of his Cup Series career. He had led 25 laps. He was locked in a 3-wide battle with Ryan Blaney and Bubba Wallace on the final lap of overtime. Wallace's attempt at a 3-wide move forced him below the yellow line and later resulted in a penalty, while Hocevar was left without any drafting help at the moment it mattered most. Blaney went on to win the race, Christopher Bell finished second, and Hocevar inherited third place only after Wallace's penalty was applied. By every measurable standard, Hocevar's car had the speed to win that race outright. But when the moment came for someone to lock onto his bumper and push him to the front, nobody did. Hamlin explained exactly why on the podcast. Denny Hamlin, there were drivers in our meeting today who said that, no matter what, they will not push Carson Hocevar. That single sentence is the center of this entire story. It was not one driver making a personal decision in the heat of the moment. It was a group of competitors, discussing it beforehand, agreeing on it together. Hamlin followed that line with the reasoning behind it, and it strikes at something bigger than any single race result. Denny Hamlin, you don't race the fans. You race your competitors, and there are a lot more of them than there are of you. That is the unwritten rule of superspeedway racing. At tracks like Atlanta, drafting decides races more than raw horsepower does. A single car running alone in the draft loses significant time to 2 cars working together in tandem, which is why the closing laps of any superspeedway race almost always come down to who is willing to pair up with whom. Drivers do not owe each other help. It is not part of the rulebook, and it is not enforced by NASCAR officials in any formal sense. It is earned, race after race, through how a driver treats the people he shares the track with, both during green flag racing and in every interview given afterward. In the garage, a driver's bumper is only as valuable as the trust built around it, and that trust can take years to build but only a handful of incidents to damage. Hamlin has raced in the Cup Series since 2005, giving him nearly 2 decades of first-hand experience with exactly this dynamic. He has been on both sides of it, receiving help from competitors in his own championship runs and choosing, at times, to withhold it from others. That experience is part of why his comments carried weight beyond a single podcast episode. He was not speculating about how the garage operates. He was describing a system he has operated inside for most of his career. Hamlin made it clear that Hocevar's on-track speed was never the problem. The problem was what happens after the race ends, in interviews, on social media, and in how disputes get handled with other competitors. Denny Hamlin, it may sound good in an interview, but when you get to the end of a race, those words can hurt your finishing position. Hamlin did not treat Atlanta as an isolated incident. He framed it as the result of a pattern that has followed Hocevar since he entered full-time Cup Series competition. In 2026 alone, Hocevar was involved in a 9-car crash at Michigan with John Hunter Nemechek, a physical altercation with Zane Smith after contact at Chicagoland, and an incident that spun out Hamlin himself at Sonoma. Individually, none of these moments defined his career. Together, they followed him into Atlanta, and they shaped how other drivers decided to treat him when it mattered most. Hamlin also referenced an earlier flashpoint from Hocevar's career, a controversial comment he made about Mexico City that drew backlash and required a public apology. Earlier in the 2026 season, Hamlin had already criticized Hocevar's aggressive driving following the Ambetter Health 400 at Atlanta on February 22, 2026, where Hocevar finished 4th, a career-best result at the time, after contact with Christopher Bell and an earlier incident involving Ryan Blaney. None of these events on their own ended a season or a reputation. But NASCAR's garage has a long memory, and Hamlin's point was that reputations compound the same way results do. Each incident, taken alone, could be explained away as hard racing. Stacked together across 2 seasons, they formed a pattern that other drivers began to notice and remember. To make his argument land, Hamlin reached for a comparison that carries weight in NASCAR history. Dale Earnhardt, the sport's 7-time Cup Series champion, who is often compared to Hocevar for his own aggressive, hard-nosed driving style. Denny Hamlin, Dale Earnhardt was winning a lot of races, but he would at least come to you and say, "Man, I'm sorry about that." He made you believe you were friends, and he'd help you get over it. That distinction is the core of Hamlin's argument. Earnhardt was aggressive, and he was also willing to repair relationships after the fact. According to Hamlin, Hocevar has shown the aggression without consistently showing the repair, and that gap is what has cost him support in exactly the moments he needs it most. Hamlin extended the point beyond Hocevar's fellow Chevrolet competitors, pointing to a wider divide inside the garage. Denny Hamlin, there are drivers in our meeting today that say no matter what, they will not push Carson Hocevar to a victory. Absolutely not. They'll push anyone else. That statement describes something close to a coordinated stance among a group of competitors, not a single grudge. Multiple outlets covering the podcast interpreted Hamlin's remarks as describing a broader alignment among Toyota drivers specifically, suggesting Hocevar could expect little to no assistance from that manufacturer group in bumper-to-bumper drafting situations going forward. Hamlin, who also co-owns 23XI Racing alongside his role as a Joe Gibbs Racing driver, was direct about what that kind of standing among peers actually costs a driver over time. Denny Hamlin, so when you say those things, you can't disrespect them on and off the track. Around this story, 2 camps of opinion have formed among fans and analysts. The first camp sees Hocevar as a young driver paying the same dues every aggressive rookie before him has paid, arguing that hard racing is what builds stars in NASCAR and that veterans resented the same style when they were coming up. Under this view, Hamlin's comments look less like a warning and more like an older generation protecting its own territory against a faster, more aggressive newcomer. The second camp sees Atlanta as consequences finally catching up with him, arguing that talent alone has never been enough to win at drafting tracks, and that trust with competitors has to be built the same way lap times are built, through repetition and consistency. Under this view, Hocevar's third-place finish at Atlanta was not a missed opportunity caused by other drivers being unfair. It was the direct, predictable outcome of choices he made across 2 full seasons in the Cup Series. Analysts covering the sport have framed the question in similarly direct terms: did Hocevar lose Atlanta because other drivers refused to push him to the win, or do Hamlin's comments simply confirm that Hocevar's reputation is now shaping how competitors race against him at every drafting track on the schedule? Neither camp has a definitive answer, and that lack of resolution is exactly why this story has generated so much discussion across the garage and among fans. There is also a business dimension to this story that Hamlin did not ignore. Hocevar drives for Spire Motorsports, a team that depends on sponsorship dollars and manufacturer support to compete against larger, better-funded organizations like Joe Gibbs Racing and Team Penske. A driver's on-track reputation affects more than a single race result. It affects how sponsors, manufacturers, and teammates view the long-term value of being associated with him. Nothing about that side of the situation has been confirmed publicly by Spire Motorsports or its partners, but the pressure it creates sits underneath the same conversation Hamlin opened on his podcast. Fellow drivers have weighed in publicly on the broader pattern as well. Ryan Blaney has previously suggested Hocevar tone down his aggression on track, a point Hamlin said Blaney explained correctly during a separate interview. Hamlin has been consistent in saying there are lessons a driver has to learn through experience over time, but also some things a driver should simply already know before reaching the Cup Series level. He has also pointed out that Hocevar has shown the ability to learn and adjust in the past, suggesting the door to repairing these relationships remains open if Hocevar chooses to walk through it. That leaves a genuine, unresolved question hanging over Hocevar's next superspeedway start. If he changes his approach to rebuild trust with the garage, does he risk losing the aggressive style that made him one of the most talked about young drivers on the grid? If he does not change anything, does he risk losing the one thing no amount of speed can buy back, which is the willingness of other drivers to help him win? No stat line measures trust inside a garage. There is no column for it on a scoring pylon, no number that shows up in a box score. It exists only in the decisions drivers make about each other when the laps are running out and the draft is the only thing standing between third place and a win. If this breakdown helped you understand what actually happened behind the scenes at Atlanta, the most useful thing you can do right now is drop a comment with which side of this debate you land on, hit like on this video, and share it with another NASCAR fan who has been following the Hocevar story. Every comment and share tells this channel, NASCAR Racing World, exactly what kind of breakdowns to keep making, and it is genuinely the fastest way to help us reach that first 500 subscribers. If you want more breakdowns like this one, subscribing is the best way to make sure you do not miss the next one. Next superspeedway. Same mirror. Same question. Will anyone be there?